Now we're going to bring in a disclaimer. One of my business partners, Dan Keelan, who I muted, so you can unmute if you're not. Are we there? Yes.
I have unmuted.
Okay, cool. And Dan and I also cover the business of cannabis, not to be confused with all the consumer stuff. And it's we're still waiting for the final state. I just asked the state today for the final numbers, but we're somewhere in the vicinity of $2.5 billion in sales for 2022. And of that, as part of that figure is the 16% taxes that go to the municipalities, that go to the state. It's a win-win, essentially. Maybe not, and for the consumers right now, it's a big win, because cannabis prices, a flood of cannabis on the market, and so prices have crashed. It's just not so good for the business people.
Right.
But anyway, that being said, as my setup, Dan and I have been working for, I don't know how many years, is it 3 or 4? 4 years. And so I would let him take it from here, because if I get it wrong, then that's not good. But essentially, we've got a lot of individual properties, and I'll let you focus on that. Go ahead, Dan, however you want to explain that.
Yeah. So, well, thanks for giving me the time to talk about this. So, yeah, you can see above my head and to my left, or maybe my right from your point of view, a variety of brands. These are projects. These are websites. And what we've done just recently is, maybe think of it as a course correction. I'll go back 4 years. Mike and I were having a conversation unrelated to cannabis, and recreational cannabis had become legal in Michigan, and we were talking about the space to, launch a website, news focused on the business of cannabis. And we launched the Michigan Marijuana Report 4 years ago. Launched a website, launched a newsletter, and I guess like any other business, we just kept trying to grow the business and grow the audience and find some sponsors. And along the way, invented other things. So the Flora Global Cannabis Directory, we started to promote as a free service to start to build a database. The 420 Post live show launched in the middle of the pandemic. Mike hosts that on Wednesdays. It's sort of the live and streaming version of the business that we started. And then other projects like the Academy, we're still trying to kick off an educational focus. So what we did this year was kind of sit back and look at all that. And the big change that people might notice is we're no longer publishing the Michigan Marijuana Report. We're publishing the weekly news. We're keeping the website up to date, but we're calling it 420 Post. So from a brand point of view, 420 Post has a show called 420 Post Live, has a companion product called the 420 Academy. And we're branding our surveys and our webinars and all of that. So part of it was an effort to just kind of bring it all together and make it make sense, because it had evolved organically, the way lots of hopefully good ideas do. But we also think that sharing this view of this 4-year-old business now is better for our partners and sponsors, because we can be a little more strategic about, a law firm and where they should fit and how they might want to be underwriting the show, but might also want some custom content in the publication, or maybe they're connected to cannabis tourism. Sparks and Recreation, which you can see in this collection to the left of my head, is probably our newest effort here. The website launched around Thanksgiving. We're actually working this week on the second issue of a monthly e-magazine, all focused on cannabis tourism. And so that's kind of for us, a new foray, but a very, rich market to be in. It allows us to dabble a little more in the consumer and product side. In our latest survey, half our readers are product consumers and half of them are businesses. But the reality is that there's a huge crossover between the two. So we think we now have a palette or a brand family that's easier to understand, that presents the right sponsor with an opportunity, like I said, to sponsor the show, but then they're on the show because they're an expert. Maybe we turn their expertise into some training. We're doing a webinar this week with the Small Business Association of Michigan. It's a good example of the way we can use media to educate people in the cannabis community and connect that community to a bigger audience of, there's 30,000 companies that belong to the Small Business Association of Michigan, connecting those businesses to the cannabis industry, a good thing for everybody. So, so that's where we are. So no more Michigan Marijuana Report. 420 Post is the kind of the lead brand here. And my partner, Mike, is the editor of the 420 Post, and he hosts the weekly 420 Post live show.